Hey there, this is Phoenix Amore. So, here's the one thing that I need to express to people. When you talk about influence, right? When I talked about making sure that you stay emotionally balanced when you're reading news, wait for all the information to come through. This is what's so beautiful, at least, about you seeing this other country, right? Saying, you know what? We can move forward with the U.S. on keyword transparency. There was not a whole lot of that in the previous administration. So understand why it's actually a beautiful thing. Understand, though, what you have is this previous president. Take skin color out of it. Look at behavior. You have a situation where you have this library, these people that live around there saying, we asked specifically for this information. Why is it so hard for people to get information from anything that has to do with them, this previous administration? The mindset. Let's not talk mental health. Because every time I put something in my blog, you see they go into this defense mode to where it's like, listen, we're talking transparency. Right now, it appears that somebody did not understand that he was just the president. President means that you have to pay attention to what the people are saying. So let's use this EEOC thing as an example. African-American woman, let me make something very clear. This is not one of these black women who wants to be white. Or black woman kissing Trump's butt. Because y'all remember, this is why people pay attention to what I say. I bashed Trump's butt all during the election on certain things. But then as more stuff came out, objectivity is the key. When I talk about being an independent, I am. So you saw me look at both sides on stuff. Right now, I feel like this is just a bunch of drama high school from some folks, what you would call the left, whatever, liberal folks, right? I'm looking at some of the behavior like high school, because the thing that I want to keep people grounded on, this whole EEOC thing being a prime example of when they said it was interesting to have this lawyer who supposedly specialized in constitutional law do some of the things to break the Constitution. Now, you can look at it one or two ways, right? You can look at it like maybe he was naive and didn't know, or you can look at it as him abusing law, right? His knowledge of the Constitution to try to get around it. That is not the point of knowing constitutional law. And if you think about it, it's a little twisted, which you can understand now why when I was having certain visions, I'm like, why do I keep getting this impression that when I said no more lawyer presidents, this impression kept hitting me where I'm like, why? It's because here you had this lawyer that knew constitutional law. Rather than use it for good to make sure he stayed within boundaries, he broke boundaries consistently. So while some of the convicts, right, this is why I was like, oh my gosh, these people bank on you guys not knowing politics, so they get you emotionally riled up and then they get you rioting and ticked off, when the reality is, read the article thoroughly. It said that guess who crossed his boundaries and broke the Constitution. So your natural emotional reaction, because now they're spinning this white-black thing, take that out of the picture. Look at it objectivity. Look at it with some objectivity and say to yourself, how did this come to be, right? It came to be because the previous president who knew constitutional law abused his knowledge of the Constitution to push through the vision that he had from a long time ago. It's all staring you guys in the face. So that's why I'm looking at it going, you know what, they crazy. And so what they do is try to latch on to the people that'll be doing this whole echo chamber. And I find it the most ironic thing is I pointed out something so simple where I'm like, did y'all notice that this lady who can she save the world? We know she can't. Leave that alone for just a second. On the flip side, now you have all these articles. Her bestie, who wrote a book that had all lies about her husband, about him supposedly abusing her, he's having to sue her. So think about all this Me Too stuff coming out. And here now this husband, right? That's why I pointed it out. I'm like, why is she acting like she don't need to make a statement about that? Because that's huge. When you have all these women, right, on this big kick, and then here you have Miss supposedly empowered, blah, blah, you know, keeping her husband in check, let her tell it, with the bestie who lied on her husband about abuse. You know, that's a little too extra for me as a black woman. I'm just going to keep it real. It's embarrassing to me. Let me just break it down. Probably embarrassing to a whole lot of black people. Take out the race thing and all that. So there's the EEOC thing. If you now look at the Florida shooting, right, this is where I said the emotions, they keep stirring it and stirring it. I waited, and I knew they were like, I can't believe she didn't mention it. Because I'm sane and balanced enough to wait for all the information. This is where you have to keep your sanity. Well, what happened with this boy? Mom died. Did you notice? Mom died November 1st, bounced around in the homes, and think about everything that happened in his life. Add to it that he was abusive to the girlfriend right before. and all these teachers were warning the school principal about this. It never got to the superintendent. It never got to the local police. How then do you start pointing things at the gun? Like I made very clear to people, I'm not even a member of NRA. This is where you see people reading my blog and they think they're so silly because they probably think, oh, this Southern black girl, with her 8 guns. Nothing like that. It's called intelligence enough to wait and say, let's see the facts. You basically were dealing with an emotionally unstable boy who had a lot of changes, who was already violent to begin with, and the school dropped the ball. You can leave it right there. If you have some sense, you leave it right there. If you want to keep playing on people's emotions, right, you go, see, we need a politician that needs to be against the NRA. What does that have to do with this boy's mental health? So here you have it again. These people just shoot, shoot, shoot. That's all it is. Stirring that pot, not stopping to think about the real issue in every circumstance. So hopefully that keeps some people grounded. You guys have a very, very blessed day. Take care.